Brodie Retallick delivers insightful verdict on Dave Rennie and Joe Schmidt as All Blacks enter new coaching era. Brodie Retallick has never been one to court headlines unnecessarily. But when one of the most respected players in All Blacks history speaks about the future direction of New Zealand rugby, people listen. Following the stunning sacking of Scott Robertson, the legendary lock has offered his considered thoughts on two of the leading contenders to replace him, Dave Rennie and Joe Schmidt. The decision by New Zealand Rugby to part ways with Robertson sent shockwaves through the global rugby community. Appointed amid huge optimism after his unprecedented success with the Crusaders, Robertson's tenure promised innovation, cultural evolution, and continuity. Yet after an exhaustive review of the 2025 international season, NZR concluded that change was required, underlining once again the unforgiving nature of elite international rugby in New Zealand. With the All Blacks brand built on sustained excellence rather than potential, even a coach of Robertson's pedigree was not immune to scrutiny. As a result, the union has moved swiftly to identify his successor, with experienced, proven operators emerging as the preferred options rather than developmental gambles. Among those names, Dave Rennie, Joe Schmidt, and Highlanders head coach Jamie Joseph have risen quickly to the forefront. Each brings a distinct resume, philosophy, and connection to the All Blacks environment. Few people, however, have the depth of experience working under multiple coaching styles at the highest level quite like Retallick. Now 34, the two-time World Cup winner and a 109 Test veteran is currently playing club rugby in Japan with Kobelco Kobe Steelers. Significantly, that team is coached by Rennie, providing Retallick with an up-close view of the qualities the former Chiefs and Wallabies coach would bring to the All Blacks role. Life after Robertson. A critical moment for New Zealand rugby. The timing of Robertson's dismissal has made the decision even more dramatic. Traditionally, New Zealand rugby has prided itself on long-term planning and succession. This move, however, reflects a sense of urgency and pressure at the top of the game. The All Blacks remain one of world rugby's most feared teams, but performances over the past 18 months have been inconsistent by historic standards. While not disastrous in isolation, results failed to convince decision-makers that the team was progressing quickly enough in key areas such as game management, cohesion, and adaptability under pressure. Robertson's coaching philosophy, heavily rooted in emotional intelligence and player empowerment, resonated strongly at Super Rugby level. At international level, however, the margin for error narrows dramatically. As Retallick later explains, the rate of learning and execution is far faster in Test rugby, and coaches must strike the perfect balance between challenge and support. Against that backdrop, New Zealand rugby appears to have turned its focus toward experience. Specifically, coaches who have navigated the pressures of international rugby, managed high-performance environments, and rebuilt teams under scrutiny. Dave Rennie. Experience, culture, and clarity. Rennie's name surfaced almost immediately after Robertson's departure was confirmed. A former Chiefs head coach and Wallabies boss, Rennie has long been admired for his attention to detail, man management skills, and ability to build strong team cultures. For Retallick, Rennie is a familiar figure. The pair worked together during successful periods at the Chiefs, and that professional relationship has been rekindled in Japan, where Rennie now leads Kobe Steelers. Speaking on Sport Nation with Millsy and Guy, Retallick revealed that the speculation around Rennie's future did not take long to filter through the Kobe squad. The boys were straight into him as soon as it was announced, asking if he is interested. Retallick said, "Whether he's playing at straight bat or not, I'm not too sure. There was nothing to confirm, that's for sure." Rennie, true to form, kept his cards close to his chest. That discretion itself speaks to the professionalism that has defined his career. Rather than fueling speculation, he chose silence, something Retallick clearly respected. When asked to describe Rennie's strengths, the All Blacks great offered glowing praise, outlining a coach whose influence extends well beyond tactics and team sheets. There are multiple aspects to Ren's, Retallick explained. 1. He engages the community and creates a culture around the team he is with, finding links to supporters and the city, which is massive for growing your identity. This emphasis on connection and identity has been a hallmark of Rennie's coaching journey. At the Chiefs, He oversaw a transformation that blended clarity of purpose with genuine cultural engagement. At the Wallabies, despite mixed results, players consistently spoke of renewed belief and structure. Retallick also highlighted Rennie's technical acumen and long-term understanding of the game. He's also a man who has coached for a very long time, and he understands how he wants to play a game of rugby and those smaller details that make a game plan come together. In international rugby, those smaller details often separate victory from defeat. Game plans must survive pressure, fatigue, hostile crowds, and split-second decision-making. Rennie's reputation as a meticulous planner aligns closely with what New Zealand Rugby may be seeking. Perhaps most importantly, Retallick emphasized Rennie's interpersonal skills. Like all good coaches, he's also a people person. He can be relatable, have a laugh, but also will tell you when you haven't got it right. That ability to challenge without alienating, to support without softening standards, is arguably the defining trait of elite international coaches. With someone with that much experience, he's obviously been around long enough that he knows what he's doing, Retallick concluded. Joe Schmidt. Proven excellence. Complicated optics if Rennie represents continuity within New Zealand rugby culture. Joe Schmidt represents proven excellence at the highest level, albeit with a complicated recent history. Schmidt, currently serving as Wallabies head coach, is contracted through to July this year after taking over from Eddie Jones following Australia's disastrous Rugby World Cup campaign. His appointment was widely seen as a stabilizing move, and early signs suggest he has brought structure, clarity, and professionalism back to the Wallabies environment. For Retallick, Schmidt is another familiar face. The pair worked together when Schmidt joined the All Blacks coaching setup as an assistant under Ian Foster. That period gave Retallick first-hand exposure to Schmidt's famously meticulous approach. However, the idea of Schmidt returning to New Zealand to coach the All Blacks after leading Australia is not without controversy. Retallick acknowledged that reality candidly. I guess it'll be a weird one if Joe were to hit him there after just coaching the Wallabies for the last 18 months or whatever it's been. He said that in New Zealand rugby culture, allegiance matters. Coaching the Wallabies, even temporarily, can complicate perceptions. Yet Retallick was quick to balance that sentiment with respect for Schmidt's credentials. At the same time, he is another great coach that would do well. Comparing Schmidt and Rennie, Retallick noted striking similarities in their attention to detail and preparation. I think that they are probably very similar, to be fair. Like Renz and Joe, Schmidt will leave no stone unturned. They will cross every T and dot every I before the match comes along. That obsessive preparation can be demanding for players. Sometimes as a player, you're like, just leave me alone, Retallick admitted with a laugh. But they're doing it for the good of the team. Schmidt's record speaks for itself. His tenure with Ireland transformed them into a consistent world power, capable of beating anyone on their day. His understanding of test match detail, opposition analysis, and in-game adaptability remains among the best in the sport. What makes a great international coach? Beyond discussing individual candidates, Retallick was asked to reflect more broadly on what separates great international coaches from good ones. His answer pointed back to one of the most successful figures in All Blacks history, Sir Steve Hansen. The rate of learning at international level is a lot quicker, Retallick explained. The uptake is quicker from they understand what the coach is trying to say. At test level, players arrive with deep understanding of systems and skill execution. Coaches are not teaching fundamentals. They are refining, challenging, and managing minds under extreme pressure. I always thought Steve Hansen made a great coach because he was a people person, Retallick said. And he would know when to push the right buttons when you needed a bit of support. Hansen's genius lay in his timing, knowing when to challenge players brutally and when to step back. That balance created trust, resilience, and accountability within the All Black squad during one of the most dominant eras in rugby history. At an international level, especially, it's been able to challenge the group alongside coaching and plays a massive part when they need it, Retallick added.